Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. This is Vlogmas in July 2022, day 4, and we're gonna make some trip around the world blocks. So if you want to see how to make a cool quilt block like this, please stay tuned. Welcome to Vlogmas in July 2022. I'm so glad that you've chosen to tune in to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, Vlogmas is an annual tradition that I have on my channel where I film and upload a video every single day for the month. Not necessarily film, but definitely upload a video every day for the month of July. And so today is day 4. As a part of Vlogmas in July this year, I have a goal that I'm trying to reach of 10,000 subscribers. Hopefully you saw at the beginning of the video that we are currently over 9,400 subscribers. That is amazing, amazing, amazing. By July 31st, I would like to be at 10,000 subscribers. So we are so close. If you're not a subscriber right now, go ahead and click on my picture in the bottom right corner so that we can reach that goal together. And I look forward to you being a part of my quilting community. So I wasn't sure. Oh, thank you in advance for your support. I wasn't sure what to film today. Today is July 4th, and so it's a really chill day. I know everybody's at home and relaxing with family, and so I wasn't sure what to do today. I knew I needed something easy and something that would be kind of fun just to work on. I remembered that I have not made a video about the trip around the world. I feel like this is the right way. The trip around the world, actually making the blocks. There is a live stream that I did where I made a couple of these blocks on camera, but I don't have a strict tutorial for it. So I want to do that today. That's going to give me something that's kind of mindless sewing, but also to accomplish something. I have some of the blocks here behind me. This is one of the blocks. I'm going to put it in its spot. Okay, so hopefully you can see the design that I'm kind of going for, where this would be the center and the pattern is going to span outward. And I will do another video of laying this quilt out once I'm done with all the blocks. As of right now, this quilt is going to have 16 blocks. It may have a border. I haven't decided yet. I'm excited because this quilt actually already has a home. It's going to be gifted to a little baby that's coming very soon. So I'm excited to gift this quilt as soon as I get it done to that baby. So I normally don't make baby quilts, so this is extra special, but I already had this started, so I'm excited to finish it for them. Now I will link the I'll link the playlist for the Trip Around the World quilt so that if you haven't seen the preview for this quilt and where I made the strip sets, you can go back and take a look at that. But I'll explain a little bit of what I've done. Now I know that these blocks look like little individual squares, but they're actually made of strip sets. I used basically two strip sets and then a few of my own fabrics from my stash that I cut into 2.5-inch strips. So, everything's falling. So what I've done ahead of time before this video is I've chosen my fabrics. The blue line that I'm using is from a line called Sashiko, and you can see one of the fabrics here. It's that the Sashiko quilting design is the big stitch quilting, and so you can see those types of patterns on the fabric. So I have those in the blues, and then some of my lights. I don't think I have any of the lights in here because I needed all those to make these blocks. But the lights are the same way. So I have blues and whites in the Sashiko line, and then I added some yellow here, and I'm using a jelly roll called Sunny Side Up from Wilmington Prints. Okay, so this has a variety of yellow strips, and they're all 2.5 inches by width of fabric, and in this pack there are 24. So I used one pack. I still have some strips left over from that, but I actually still have another pack here if I choose to add more blocks to this quilt. Okay, now what I did was I picked my order of fabrics, and I have 7 strips for my strip sets. I stitched them all together. I pressed everything, I made a tube, and I cut them using my shape cut ruler. Since I started with 2.5 inch strips, each one of my strip units or strip sets is 2.5 inches, and so I have those here. And I have these in sets of 7. From each strip set, I got 2 groups of 7 and then 2 extra strips. So I have enough this way for 14 blocks, but I'm gonna have extra from each one. So they're gonna be 2 each from each strip set, which is gonna give me enough for 2 blocks because I made 7 strip sets total. I know that is a lot that I just said. Please go back and check the other 2 videos, especially the making the strip set video, because it goes into some more detail about that. Okay, all I'm doing today is just sewing a block or 2. I haven't really decided how many I'm gonna stitch, but I just want to make sure that I have something that I can share with you guys today. This process looks very difficult. These blocks look really hard, but it's super simple. You do have to pay attention a little bit, but you know, it's fine. Okay, so I'm going to pull one of these strip sets out, and this one has 7 in it. And I don't know if I've used this set before. It doesn't matter, but I think I have. It doesn't matter though. Okay, so like I said, this has 7 strip units in it, and all I need to get started is this strip set. I have a cutting mat here just to lay everything down on, and I'm gonna need a seam ripper. Okay, so I have the seam ripper right here, and we'll go over how to create the block from here. I do want to show you my very sophisticated storage system for these blocks, okay, or for the strip sets for these blocks. This is just something simple so I can keep everything together and I don't have to go looking from place to place to place to find my strip sets. So I'm gonna turn the camera and put you right here in over my shoulder so we can make this block together. Welcome to this sort of over my shoulder view here for the Trip Around the World quilt. I want to go ahead and put a block here so that I can make sure that I have a reference for the order of the order that I'm cutting in between. Making sure that you can see it. Okay, so for this for each strip set, I wanted to make sure that that I have the correct order, or that I have the same order for every block. And so the order is fabric 1 to fabric 7. This dark blue is always my fabric 1, and then I have a dark blue for fabric 7, and my pattern is blue, yellow, white, blue, yellow, white, blue. So for each one of my strip sets, the entire strip was in this order, and all I did was take out one of the seams to put everything in order this way. I hope that made sense, but you can see it in just a minute as I work. Okay, I'm pulling this. I just took my pin out. I keep these together in groups of 7 with just a regular straight pin. Okay, and so all I'm going to do is just take my seam ripper and start taking some seams out for this block. And for each one of my blocks, the order that I stitch each of these is going to be the same. So I'm always going to be looking for this pattern as the very first row, and then it's going to go over that. Okay, so for this block, I have to remember that fabric 1 is always next to a yellow. So I wouldn't start here because it's next to a white. So I know that this is not my fabric 1. All right, so fabric 1 is always next to a yellow. The first stitch that I'm going to take out is the stitch between fabrics 1 and 7. And this one is easy because it wasn't pressed. All the other strips are pressed. So I'm just going to pull the stitches out, and I'm just taking my seam ripper and taking out every 3rd or 4th stitch here. I don't know how well you can see that, but then I'm just gonna pull that apart and take out the threads and put these little threads in the trash. Okay, and then if I use my block that's already made as an example, I can see that the blue and yellow are on the top, so you can see that here. Okay, let me make sure you can see it. Yeah. Okay, and I'm gonna scoot this out of the way, and I'll put it back in just a minute, maybe, to see, so that you can see how everything looks. Okay, so for the next, my next one, I'm going to take out the stitches between fabrics 1 and 2. Again, fabric 1 is blue and fabric 2 is the yellow. Here. All right. And same thing, take out as many threads as you can and get rid of them. Okay. And then fabric 2 is going to go at the top. Okay. And then for my next one, I'm going to take out between fabric 2 and 3. Okay, so fabric 2 is yellow, fabric 3 is the white with the little crosses on it. Okay, again, taking out I'm just going every 3rd or 4th stitch with the seam ripper. And I'm not doing both sides because that seam is pressed under and it'll come out anyway. It's not a long piece. Okay. So again, the bottom fabric is going to go at the top. So this is fabric 3. Next, I'm going to take out between fabrics 3 and 4. Okay. And fabric 3 is white, fabric 4 is the blue. And for me, it's just, you can change this order for any, I think maybe for any block, but I want the effect of the kind of, I guess, explosion of color or the rings of color. So all of my blocks are going to be the same. All right, and then, so fabric 4 goes on top here. Okay, next I'm going to take between fabric 4 and 5. So fabric 4 is the blue, fabric 5 is the dot. Okay. And you can see that this really is simple. I choose to do this one block at a time. I guess you could do all of them at once, but I feel like that would be very confusing. For my brain, definitely confusing to get that all together. But if your brain can handle it, awesome. I'm not going to put myself through that. And fabric 5 goes on top here. I'm going to scoot these down just a little. And I was looking at the blocks on the wall, and I haven't done this colorway yet. So I'm excited to see how it looks with all the other blocks. Now I'm going between fabrics 5 and 6. Okay. And when I press these, I actually pressed my strip sets to the odd fabric. But I think if I did it again, I would press to the even fabric because I think that helps with nesting. And you're going to see when I sew it together, there are going to be some funky nesting points that I want to show you so that when you are doing this, you can choose to press to a different side. Now I'm going to take the stitch out between fabric 6 and 7. Okay. And again, super simple to do. Okay. And then take the extra stitches out, or take the extra thread out. And then fabric 7 is going to go on the top. Okay. All right. So you'll notice that every time there's fabric 7 and fabric 1, these seams are not pressed. That does not matter. Okay. So the next step is going to be to start stitching this together. I actually stitched this chain pieced but you could do 2 and then add and then add and add. I just don't do that because I prefer the chain piecing. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. As I said, I press toward the odd fabrics. Okay, so we should get, for the most part, we're going to get some good nesting, but I'm going to show you where it gets weird because these go toward the odd fabric and we do have 7 fabrics. So it is going to get weird, but not impossible. You can do it. So what I'm going to do is I folded the second strip onto the first strip, and I'm just going to sort of nest the seams here. And for these 2 strips, it nests perfectly. And I'm just going to stitch a 1/4 inch down the side here. Let me see if I can zoom you in and you can see it. Oh, I think it's okay. All right, so here we go. Again, just sort of nesting the seams. I do use a leader ender to start this. I got my stuff kind of tangled. There we go. Alrighty, and then for each one of these, you just nest the seams. Okay. And I'm just making sure they nest. And since the strip sets are all the same size, it's easy to line up each seam. It's perfect, actually. It should be perfect. If it's not, then you can finagle it just a little bit to make it work. And it doesn't matter if they're not perfectly lined up, because the overall effect will still work. Okay. And then this one. Okay, and for this bottom one, I'm going to choose the way that this one goes between seam 7 and 1. And since this seam is pressed toward seam 7, then the top one I'm going to press it up, or it's pressed toward, I'm going to press it up so that they nest here. Okay. And finish it off. All right. Now I'm going to take my next 2 and put them together. I'm actually going to cut off my leader ender and put it to the side for now. Okay. I'm going to take the next one, press it over, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stitch and nest the seams. You can nest each seam as you get to it because it's so short. The seams are so short. So I'll speed it up here. I'll speed it up and you can watch me put this together. When it gets to a funky part where the seams are not going to nest, I'll show you how to handle it. It is not a big deal, trust me. All right, I'm going to just come back right quick and show you what I do once I use the other one as the leader. So I've taken the top 2 off, and I'm going to finger press these to the right. I don't think it matters which way you finger press it. I really don't know. I haven't thought about it. And I probably won't think about it until I get ready to sew the rows together. But I don't think it's going to matter because even if they, I think that I'll be able to work around it. So I'm not going to stress too much about that. And so after I stitch the 2 together, I am finger pressing. I'm going to wait and go to the iron after I finish all of the blocks. So I'm folding set 6 on top of set 5, going ahead and stitching that. And then I'm going to speed it up for real here until I get to a point that I need to explain where that nesting issue is. So starting now, speeding up. Show you some places where the seams did not nest here, and you can see how I had to deal with it. Again, it is not a big deal. Let me zoom in. there. Okay. And so what you'll see is that for this seam, I had to press it down, but this seam is already pressed down because it is seam 7. And so these two seams here do not nest. And then the same for this one. This is actually pressed up, and then I had to press this one up to nest with this one. Okay, so these don't nest. It doesn't matter. And then once these are actually finger pressed, and you can see that it's okay. It's not bad. And then once I press it with the iron, it's going to be perfect. Okay, so I'm going to finish up this block, and then I'll meet you at the pressing table. I almost forgot to bring you over to the ironing board for this part. I started just pressing all willy-nilly. But I'm going to go ahead and press this, and I actually press it 3 times. I press it from the front and just kind of scoot everything over. Just make sure it's kind of everything's laying nicely. And I try not to pull it, but sometimes I can't resist the urge to pull. And then I'm going to press from the back so that the seams all go the way I want. And you can see that they're all laying down just perfectly, in my opinion. Even the ones where they don't nest, it's still okay. All right. Okay, and then I'm going to press one more time from the front. Look at that. Just kind of bringing the iron over it one more time. And the block is just cute. Even though it's its own unique fabric order, it looks nice, but it won't be distracting with the rest of the quilt. It'll all look pretty cohesive, hopefully. All right, so the block is done. I want to make another one, and then I'll do a reveal of everything in just a little bit. So I have 2 completed blocks here. The first one, I want to make sure I'm holding up the right way. Here's the first one. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and put it here like that. And then here's the second one. And again, I'm just going to place it here so that it sort of continues the design. I know this is not lined up perfectly, but it is pretty close, I think. Hopefully on the camera, you can see this design expanding out into that awesome trip around the world pattern. I have 8 blocks total, which is very cool because that means I'm halfway done with these blocks. I only have 8 more to make. Awesome sauce. Can't wait to finish putting these together. Let me know in the comments what you think about this block. Actually, before you do that, I want to do a little bit of zoom in action on it so you can see the whole thing. So that's what I have so far. And let's see what we can zoom in on. So this is not the final layout. You can see that those white fabrics with the blue squares in them, that's 2 different blocks, but it's the same fabric, so I wouldn't do that. And then there's another place down here, the white with the horizontal stripes. I wouldn't do that either. So I'm going to try to spread out the fabrics as much as I can, but you can see that it's a pretty awesome pattern. I'm trying to zoom back out. Uh-oh. Okay. So that's the whole pattern so far. Can't wait to see it all put together. Let's see. I hope that you've enjoyed the journey of putting together these 2 blocks on this quilt. Remember to go back to the previous videos in the playlist to see how I chose my fabrics and how I made the strip sets, so that you can start with those and then get to this point in your quilt. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, please leave them in the comments below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for tuning in to Vlogmas in July. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.